so much to get into on
What's
today's
up?
show. So good to see you in the flesh.
What's going on, Big Time?
You know, it's just good to actually see your
It
real
is.
face.
I like that pocket
How
square,
are you?
too.
What's up, man? Good to see
How
you,
we
man.
doing?
I'm
You
doing
good?
great. I'm
You
doing
good?
great. I can't complain. It's good to be back, actually.
Yeah?
It's good to be back. It really, really is. I'm tired of traveling. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
I think you just did the do this morning.
Man,
No?
let me tell you something. I was stuck in customs for 2 hours getting back into the country.
You?
Yeah,
I saw
bet
your
you had a
post-game coverage. I saw you on
Man,
SportsCenter late
Canada,
night.
It was crazy, man. 2 hours just to get through customs yesterday. It was crazy.
Why didn't
But
you
I'm
just
back.
say, do you know who I am?
Yeah.
No, I would never do that. Never do that.
They
I don't
know.
roll like that.
Skip, you had a good weekend?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. This matters? All right, so let's do this. All right, about last night, the Western Conference Final shifted to OKC last night, and the Thunder showed out for the home crowd, demolishing the Warriors 133-105 and taking a 2-1 series lead. Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook scored or assisted on 83 of OKC's points, and neither of them even played in the fourth quarter. The 28-point loss was the Warriors' second largest defeat this season. Stephen A., how do you explain what happened?
Well, the way they explain it is this. The series is not over yet. I think Game 4 defines this series. I think whoever wins tomorrow night's game wins this series. Obviously, I picked the Golden State Warriors to win this series in 7 games. Am I being a bit? Am I regretting that a little bit right now, considering the fact that before the season began, I picked Oklahoma City to come out of the West? You're damn right I am, because Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook looked absolutely sensational. Deion Wade is coming off the bench in that pivotal second quarter to drop 8 points, hitting 4 of his 6 shots. Looked great, and obviously he's on his own mission, and he's got some things to prove. And I think Deion Wade, a former Cleveland Cavalier, if they were to make it to the finals, I think he'd be a big-time presence then as well, because he'd certainly have a lot to prove. But it's a couple of things that jumped out at me. Number one, the exceptional coaching of Billy Donovan and all of this. The transition from going big early in the series to going small yesterday, using Serge Ibaka as your lone big, playing the 5. Golden State didn't seem to be able to handle that. It's just that simple. Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook both hitting 2 of their 4 shots, but Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook clearly being 2 of the 5 best players in the world, amping it up. And you know, Skip, what have I been saying all along? I was salivating about the opportunity for Russell Westbrook to go up against Steph Curry, because I said if there's one individual who is the most ferocious competitor in the game, is getting tired of hearing all of this noise, this chirping about the greatness of Steph Curry, it would be Russell Westbrook. And he's certainly showing me that, at least in 2 of the first 3 games. And then I think about Klay Thompson and Steph Curry. 1 for 7 from the field, 1 for 6 from the field in that pivotal second quarter when when Oklahoma City was running away with things. To go 2 for 13, to combine to go 2 for 13 over that period of time. You simply cannot have that. That's just something that cannot happen. You're the reigning defending world champions. It's just a game. We don't need to overreact. I'm not overreacting because of the loss. I'm not overreacting because of the game. What I'm overreacting is that the 3 of the top 5 players in the world are on the court at the same time. And Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant, and Steph Curry, not necessarily in that order. And the 2 best players in this series in 2 of the 3 games appears to be the dudes playing for Golden State. I'm sorry, for Oklahoma City instead of Golden State. So, what I extrapolate from that is that Golden State is in trouble. They've got to win Game 4. They don't win Game 4 tomorrow night, they lose this series. They are on the brink of being on the brink. They are in trouble, and they have to respond in kind, because Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook playing the way that they're playing and getting help from a Steven Adams, Deion Waiters. I'm seeing a team that just seems to be imposing its will on everybody they're going up against. That's what I'm seeing.
I am going to overreact, or at least you can accuse me of overreacting. First of all, allow me to say that my Golden State in 5 prediction was obviously dead wrong. And allow me to say that I thought that last night would be a down-to-the-wire barn burner, but I thought that Steph Curry could win it in the end, the way he's been doing against this team routinely all season long. And not in my wildest nightmares could I have imagined the Oklahoma City Thunder running Golden State off its home floor, off Oklahoma City's home floor, a team that won a record, NBA record 73 games, trailed by 25 at halftime and 41 in the third. Are you kidding me? That's impossible to me. And so my overreaction is I sit back and say, okay, I thought that Steph and Clay might come out in the third quarter and try to reassert themselves, try to heat up and reimpose some of their will back on this series. Golden State gave up 45 points in the third quarter. That's the most they've given up all season long. That's the most any team has given up in any playoff quarter this year. 45 times 4. By the way, Oklahoma City scored only 16 in the last quarter. What if they'd scored 30 or 35? This would have been even worse.
They took their foot off the gas.
Yeah,
they could afford to. It wasn't. They took it. They actually took it light.
It's 133 to 105, taking their foot off the gas. So again, accuse me of overreacting, but I saw an Oklahoma City team that took off last night, and I mean took off toward the NBA Finals. I have a deep feeling this series is over, and Oklahoma City just might have taken off toward an NBA championship because they're looking like that, like they finally got it. They found themselves. Every piece is clicking, including that rookie head coach that you just talked about, because
he's doing an outstanding job.
The shocker to me was that Golden State went desperately down that stretch in the second quarter as the game was unraveling to what it's called its death lineup. And it was only death to Golden State because Donovan just said, okay, I'll go small. To your point, Ibaka is the only big guy left on the floor. And with Ibaka as the lone big guy, they outscored Golden State 70 to 36. So they out-death the death. It's death for Golden State here because I'm with you. It looked to me last night like Oklahoma City permanently imposed its will on Golden State, crushed them on the boards, out-scrapped them, out-fought them, out-hustled them to every loose ball, scored at will. I mean, I'm talking about at will. Like anytime Oklahoma City wanted to score, it's like, ho-hum, watch this, let's score. And Stephen A., remember, it was 40 to 40 at one point, and you talked about it, but down that stretch of the second quarter, Golden State shot 2 for 21 in that stretch. That's just in that stretch from 40 to 40. You gave the second quarter stats. But in that stretch, Steph was 1 for 6, Clay was 1 for 5, and Draymond Green was 0 for 5. That's right. All of them little short shots that he ate for the most part. Draymond Green, who had a plus-minus of minus 43, which is the worst in the last 20 years, whew, in a playoff.
It's a bad day for him.
I'd say it was. I don't watch every game, but is it possible it was the worst game he's ever had in pro basketball? Yes. It's highly possible. No,
I'm telling you it is.
Okay.
It's the worst game I've ever seen Draymond Green play.
In fact, that was the first night after all the talk about how low he was drafted. It felt like on that night anyway, he was drafted just right. You know, like he looked like a second-round pick to me, right? Yeah. And Golden State, when it turns into, as I call it, Golden State, where nobody can hit a shot, they look bad. And their defense looked bad, and they looked overmatched and lost last night, and I'm just not sure that I see the answers. Well, okay, what has history taught us as we've watched all? Usually, if it's just 3 games into a playoff series, you say these things change like the spring weather, right? Mm-hmm. It didn't feel like that to me last night. It felt different. Well, it felt over to me.
Can I tell you why? You know, when I talked about OKC, and I picked them before a game was even played this year, what did I say? You have a superstar in Steph Curry, who's now a champion. But there is nothing that he does that some 6'11" dude in OKC can't do with a 7'6" wingspan and a handle who can pull up from 30.
He's just something.
There is no reason why Kevin Durant is one of the top 3 players in the universe. This dude is that big time. There is no excuse. We saw them lose 15 fourth-quarter leads and had questions about, okay, Russell Westbrook running the show, getting dudes involved. Here's what we didn't count on. We didn't count on Steven Adams and the evolution. We didn't count on the combination of Adams and Enes Kanter. We didn't count on a combination of Kanter with Adams and Ibaka in terms of physicality that could match anybody in the league because Steven Adams is a rough rider. Okay, we didn't count on any of those things, all right? So when you look at it from that perspective, and Then you look at this kid Roberson hitting open threes because they're leaving him open. They're daring him to shoot jumpers, and he's hitting them right now.
By the way, though,
go ahead.
Just for the record,
yeah,
he's a 31% three-point shooter in the regular season.
That's right.
Now he's made 8 of his last 13, which is 70%, and he killed my Spurs in Game 6.
Right.
And he just making them. They're saying, here, we dare you.
But the difference is that in the playoffs, in a 7-game series, unlike the regular season, they won't leave him open in a regular season the way they'll leave him open during the playoffs. Because in the playoffs, you're so petrified of a Kevin Durant or Russell Westbrook, and now the physicality that they're imposing, ultimately forces you to collapse down in the paint to try to do something to fend them off. That's giving him consistently open shots. But I got to give Sam Presti a lot of credit because we had questions, even though we know he's a damn good executive. A lot of credit hiring Billy Donovan. Billy Donovan, the job he and Mo Cheeks are doing, nothing short of special in regards to that. But Skip, what this comes down to is this. I'm not where you are. It's not a finished issue, but it's code red. It's code red. It's a problem.
You said,
it's a
said on the brink of being on the brink. It just feels like they're on the brink.
They're on the brink. Okay. I'm saying to you right now, well, maybe I
said if they lose Game 4.
They lose Game 4.
That?
If OKC wins Game 4, they're not losing 3 in a row to Golden State.
No.
It's a wrap. It's a wrap.
No.
They're going to close it out in 6 back in Oklahoma City. There will be no Game 7. The only shot that Golden State has to win tomorrow night. They lose tomorrow night, they lose this series. I believe in Draymond Green. There ain't no way in hell he's that bad. It was a bad day. I believe in Steph Curry. You know what? He wasn't bad, but he wasn't great. He obviously wasn't great. Klay Thompson's got to show up too. He's too good of a player to play as ineffective as he was. They got to take the ball to the hole more. They got to help dictate pace in that regard, get to the free throw line. And by the way, Skip, while we sitting there doing it, can we sit up here? Listen, Steve Kerr has had a really, really nice honeymoon. The man got hired. He inherited a 51-win team, okay? The man proved he can coach. He got these guys to the championship. They won the title last year. But we all recognize the greatness of Steph Curry, the sniper-like mentality of both Steph Curry and a Klay Thompson. Steve Kerr and Luke Walton earlier this year for 43 games deserves a lot of credit. But I know this much. If this were anybody else, we'd be looking at them and saying, you're reigning defending world champions, and these boys are doing this to you. What you going to do about it? So we need to look at Steve Kerr. What you going to do about it?
I think it's a fair question.
What you going to do? We're going to respect the man because the man's a champion. He's the reigning coach of the year. But what you going to do about it? Because Billy Donovan right now, Billy Donovan is doing a hell of a job. It's Steve Kerr's turn.
All right.
Agreed.
It's code